Now on News 4, staying closed. New York will remain on pause for 2 more weeks. Business is closed, but we found one bar operating under the cloak of a nail salon.
I don't see how you get past that curve without seeing thousands of people pass away.
And preparing for the worst, New York State crosses a grim milestone. And tonight, the race to build more hospitals, including one in the heart of the city. Good evening. I'm Gus Rosendale. Adam and Gilmer are off. Tonight, the tri-state faces a week unlike any other in our history. With fears mounting about supply shortages and overcrowded hospitals, the area is furiously racing to save as many lives as possible. This is a sign of how deep we are in the coronavirus crisis. A makeshift ER is being set up at Central Park. And by tomorrow, the USNS Comfort will dock at New York Harbor to help hospitals cope with the surge of patients. And tonight, yes, that grim milestone for New York State. More than 1,000 New Yorkers have now died from COVID-19. More than 60,000 are infected. New Jersey has more than 13,000 confirmed cases, and Connecticut has almost 2,000 cases. Governor Cuomo said that New York will remain on pause for at least 2 more weeks, until April 15th. 2 more weeks that non-essential workers must stay home. We have complete coverage of the pandemic for you tonight. News 4's Myles Miller starts us off in Brooklyn with the city's new push to keep people home to slow the spread. Myles?
Well, that's right. The push is to keep people home and for bars and restaurants to remain shuttered. Don't be fooled by this letter grading on the window. This is not a bar nor a restaurant. So why was it open with 12 people inside when cops came by last night? The place is all locked up now, but cops say last night it was a fully functional bar. 12 people inside drinking, gambling, and hanging out amid the mayor's order for businesses to shutter. The owner, the first to be arrested, accused of running a speakeasy since the mayor's order closing bars took effect. Charged with illegal sale of alcohol, promoting gambling, and violating the mayor's order.
They're going to give people every chance to listen, and if anyone doesn't listen, then they deserve a fine at this point.
De Blasio threatening to fine New Yorkers up to $500 for refusing to practice social distancing, something New Yorkers can get behind.
Pay my distance and I don't pay the $500.
The country's top infectious disease official signaling the crisis will only get worse.
Looking at what we're seeing now, you know, I would say between 100 and 200,000 cases, but I don't want to be held to that because it's deaths. I mean, we're going to have millions of cases.
Governor Andrew Cuomo putting the staggering number of cases in perspective.
I don't see how you look at those numbers and conclude anything less than thousands of people will pass away.
With 42% of coronavirus deaths in the United States centered in New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo extending the state's stay-at-home order through April 15th, stretching into major holidays like Easter and Passover. Across the Hudson, New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy calling on the Trump administration to provide more ventilators to save lives.
We had a very specific conversation with the White House last night about ventilators. That's our #1 ask. It's our #1 need.
The owner of this now shuttered establishment was taken to the 6-1 precinct squad. We were told that owner was given a desk appearance ticket. The police are making it clear that they are very serious about enforcing these social distancing guidelines. We're in Gravesend, Brooklyn. I'm Myles Miller, News 4 New York.
And Myles, nationwide, social distancing guidelines have now been extended through the end of April. President Trump's original 15-day guideline was set to expire tomorrow, but Mr. Trump now says health experts predict the peak death rate is still 2 weeks away. Federal officials say the virus could kill, as you heard in the piece there, between 100 and 200,000 Americans. President Trump described a dire scene we're familiar with at Elmhurst Hospital in Queens.
Trucks that are as long as the Rose Garden, and they're pulling up to take out bodies, and you look inside and you see the black body bags. You say, what's in there? It's Elmhurst Hospital. Must be supplies. It's not supplies, it's people.
The president had earlier suggested the country would be back to business as usual by Easter. He said today that's too soon, and he doesn't want to take a chance. Across America tonight, there are more than 139,000 known coronavirus cases, and more than 2,400 people across the country have died from COVID-19. In a few hours, the Javits Center will complete its transition from a convention center into a makeshift hospital. It is one of many opening as the healthcare system prepares for this next surge of patients. And News 4's Ida Siegal is at Mount Sinai Hospital now, where reality of this crisis is settling in tonight. Ida?
Gus, a field hospital inside of Central Park, something neighbors told me tonight they never thought they would see. But take a look behind me here. Here we are. The tents have gone up next to a children's playground inside Central Park, and come Tuesday, they will be occupied with COVID patients, surrounded by doctors and nurses working in the elements to save lives. A tented hospital has risen in Central Park tonight. Each of these white tents built to treat COVID-19 patients. Neighbors in shock, marveling at the surreal image.
Really hard to believe, and you know, what can you say? You just pray for the people that are going to be in there, that they're going to be okay.
68 beds will fit under those tents, an extension of Mount Sinai Health System across the street. The project was engineered by nonprofit Samaritan's Purse. The tents are designed to handle the same severity of symptoms as the main building.
The sickest patients, the ones that are intubated or have a breathing tube down, that kind of thing, can be cared for here also.
It's just one way the city will expand hospital capacity this week. On the west side, dredging was completed for the arrival of the USNS Comfort, the naval ship that will serve as an emergency hospital, adding another 1,000 beds. And just south of there, the Jacob Javits Center is also now a hospital with an 1,100 bed capacity and also ready to begin taking patients this week.
A lot of what we're doing is we're building capacity and assembling supplies for the Apex.
Also ready for the Apex, 76,000 volunteer medical workers who answered the governor's call for help. They will have another 1,400 ventilators to work with that arrived to New York, in addition to more masks and other supplies. Today, President Trump questioned the need for so many supplies, implying that hospitals were deliberately taking more masks than they need.
I want the people in New York to check Governor Cuomo, Mayor de Blasio, that when a hospital that's getting 10,000 masks goes to 300,000 masks during the same period, and that's a rapid period, I would like them to check that.
Tonight, the Greater New York Hospital Association responded on behalf of medical workers, saying PPE is the single thing that separates them from being COVID-19 patients themselves. They deserve better than their president, suggesting that PPE is going out the back door of New York hospitals. Again, the tents here across from Mount Sinai will be fully operational on Tuesday. Reporting live from the Upper East Side, Ida Siegal, News 4, New York.
Ida, thank you. And there is word tonight that another city leader is sick. Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz has tested positive for coronavirus. According to a spokesperson, the 54-year-old learned the results of the test yesterday. The spokesperson says Katz has had some mild symptoms but is feeling better. Katz and most of her staff have been working from home since at least March 19th. On the front line, the NYPD says 818 members have tested positive for COVID-19. Commissioner Dermot Shea says he expects that number to exceed 900 by tomorrow. The number of uniformed officers out sick rose to over 12% of the force. So far, 3 officers have died from the virus. In Connecticut, nearly 2,000 people have tested positive for coronavirus. That's bad, and this is worse. Hospitals there are getting ready tonight for a surge. Meantime, Governor Ned Lamont toured a facility manufacturing ventilators for critical care patients. 34 people have died, and federal officials just approved a disaster declaration for the state, and that will allow all 8 counties to be reimbursed for costs associated with the response to the pandemic. More than half of Connecticut's cases are concentrated in Fairfield County, and the city of Bridgeport is setting up a hospital overflow site there as well. The Webster Bank Arena will house 128 beds. It will be used as an alternate care site if hospitals can't keep up with that surge in patients. All equipment needed for the hospital should be in place by Tuesday. With more than 13,000 cases in New Jersey, residents there are seeing strict orders on social distancing. That is the case especially in Hoboken, where all parks will close to the public at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. The reason, well, city officials say people are not following those social distancing orders. The waterfront promenade will stay open at least for now, but gatherings are prohibited. And New Jersey's FEMA-run test sites are opening on a staggered schedule to keep up with demand. Only the drive-through site at Bergen County College opened this morning. PNC Bank Arts Center in Homedale will open tomorrow at 8. They'll be able to test 500 people. Both sites are only testing patients who have symptoms of COVID-19. Meantime, on Long Island, the number of COVID-19 cases continues to rise there as well. In Nassau County, 5 more people died. That brings the death toll to 40, with over 6,400 patients testing positive. 3 more people died in Suffolk County, making it now 40 lives lost there, with over 5,000 coronavirus patients. Another coronavirus testing site is about to open our area. This time, this one's going to be in the Bronx. The new site will be located in the parking lot of the AMC Bay Plaza Cinema up in Co-op City. You will still need to make an appointment on the New York Health Department website to be tested. Well, as you are aware, the Tri-State is dealing with the most number of cases in the U.S. Last night, the Centers for Disease Control issued a travel advisory for our area, saying we should avoid non-essential travel in the U.S. for 14 days. Governors in the Tri-State will decide if and how the advisory should be enforced.
Risky because you could easily obtain the virus when you travel, or you could be taking the virus to places that don't have it.
I think we got to think this isn't a fun time. This is a serious time, and we all got to do what we got to do, like not for us, but for everybody.
Down south, Florida has set up a border checkpoint to screen people for the virus. Florida officials already said visitors from the Tri-State will need to go into a 14-day quarantine, and Oklahoma has now passed a similar order. Well, while most Americans are depending on delivery to get what they need, Amazon workers on Staten Island are planning to strike. According to a union spokesperson, workers at the JFK 8 facility will walk out tomorrow. They claim the company is not doing enough to protect them during the pandemic. We've reached out to Amazon for their side, and they say the accusations are simply unfounded, and the company is working hard to keep employees safe while serving communities. And 15,000 Instacart employees say they'll go on strike tomorrow. They say they're walking off the job because they do not have enough personal protective equipment like masks and gloves to protect themselves while delivering groceries. The company says health and safety is a top priority, and within the past 10 minutes said it will distribute more health and safety supplies to workers. It's also launching a new customer tip default setting that makes it easier for customers to set their own tip default.